Shut your hearing aid off, man. What's that?
Oh, it's our computer, I'll bet. Mine.
Pardon?
I'm not sure it's our computer that's giving you feedback.
No, it's not there.
That's all.
That's off, that's off.
This is a test. For the next 60 seconds, this is only a test.
Your speakers.
Yeah. Move your speaker away. Or the white one.
How come it was so delayed?
What's that?
It was delayed for usually the test.
No, I think somebody else was saying. Who's our IT guy?
No one else got?
No one else has got anything up besides your computer.
This test is brought to you by the Hampton Town Board.
Hello?
No one else has got anything up besides.
That better?
There's no feedback.
Okay.
We can hear you.
I think we got back to the feedback, so sorry about that. All this great technology. So I'd like to call the March Hampton Town Board meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, there's nobody on that one.
Yeah, that's
I'll fix that in a second while Vicky's talking. So, in case of fire or other emergency, there's 3 exits to this room, there, and there. In case of such emergency, please go to the nearest exit. Clear the building so rescue squads and emergency can do their job. Thank you very much. First order of business is memorials. We had 2 passings related to the town of Hampton. The first was Betty Willard. The second was Joe Mackey, who was, as I understand, a member of the fire department
at one point.
at one point. So I would like to take a few minutes to remember them in your own way. So thank you very much. Also like to change the order, our general order. We have 2 guests here tonight. Well, 1 guest and a group of guests. I would like to first start off with the assessor. As you know, we just went through a reval, and I would like to have Vicki explain to us where she's at, what's happening. I know that a lot of notices went out, and I thought that it'd be good for her to explain what's happened and where she's going, so you understand what's going on. So, Vicki?
Good evening. So the reval is at the point where we have distributed, I've done all my work. I've prepared all the values for the properties within the town. And I've sent out change of assessment notices to every parcel of property owners in the town. So everybody at this point, or very soon, if it takes them a while to get their mail, will know what their new assessment will be. based on this new reval. On an average, because of what's been happening in the county and in our town, according to sales and like that, it averaged around a 12% increase. So if a person's assessment raised approximately 10 to 14%, they probably won't see too much of a difference in their taxes. If their assessment raised more than 12%, 14, 16, 20, or whatever, then they are going to see a raise in their taxes. And if their assessment didn't raise 10% or raised only 6%, then they will probably see a decrease in their taxes. Now that is very common because the inventory has not been collected in a very long time in your town. So we have updated the inventory as best that we could. We drove by almost every property. You have a couple of roads in your town that are a bit challenging to get to. So we did our very best to get to as many properties as we could without jeopardizing getting stuck in our vehicle. In the letter, people will have next week. I gave various times that they can call. We're not doing person to person only because I'm trying to adhere to the COVID guidelines still, but I gave them a phone number and I gave them times that I will be available to talk to them. I will not tell you that I am 100%. I do my very best job to do the best that I can do, but I will never declare that I'm 100% accurate all the time. So this is the opportunity for people to call and tell me. Plus we did drive-bys. We did what we could see from the public right of way. So this is the opportunity that if people feel that their assessment is not correct, then they can call and they can tell me why they feel that's the case. And I will look at things again according to what they've told me and see if we can make a change to make it a little more agreeable to them. After this period, the tentative roll will come out May 1st, as always. And people, if they weren't happy with having a conversation with me, they don't have to have a conversation with me. They can go straight to the Board of Assessment Review, which will be meeting on I believe it's May 27th in the town of Hampton. And then they can present their case to the Board of Assessment Review, which is 3 people in your town that have the power to overwrite me, I guess you would say. So people have a couple of opportunities to address this new value. I do believe that the state has already taken a look at my numbers, a quick look, to make sure that we're in the where we need to be to get our 100% equalization rate. Now, by getting 100% equalization rate, that means our tax rates will be the lowest that they can possibly be. So that's a positive. And it also means that people will get the most value for their exemptions. So that's the goal in this whole project is just to make it equitable, to make sure that everyone is paying their fair share of taxes. And like I said, I'm always willing to have a conversation. If people want to have a conversation with me, I'm more than happy to do that. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Any questions for Vicki? I'm sure you're gonna have a lot of questions from people.
I do have a question, Dave.
Andrea, yes?
When would the assessments made public so that everybody can see them?
Yes, I told Dave that I didn't get to it. I didn't get it today. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to probably tomorrow, I'll generate that list. And then he's going to, he thinks, and I think that he'll be able to put it on the town's webpage so that you can access it by that. So hopefully by this weekend, we should have those values out there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. And I know probably some of us are going to get questions. My best advice is just say that you have a number called Vicky, contact Vicky. She's the one responsible for all the numbers. She's done all the calculations. She's been to the state to get the comparison values and done all the work. She had a technician who worked with it to change that and to review that. So that's the right answer. I mean, I can't answer the questions about why something was assessed one way or another, why someone went up, why someone went down. Neither can we. Contrary to a couple of comments I got, the town board has no involvement other than hiring a reassessor to do the job and do it the way they think it should be done. So it's best just refer it to her and let her answer the questions. We have the Board of Assessors review and answer those questions afterwards. If they want to read their assessment, they have the right logic to do that, but that's what they need to do. So it's my best advice to people. Don't answer the questions, just refer them to them and say that that's her expertise and what she's hired for, and she's specially trained to do assessments. She's done assessments for many towns for many years, and I think you got 6 you do right now. Is that right?
I have 5 towns right now,
5?
but
Okay.
yes.
Okay, good. So any questions for, any other questions for Vicky?
Okay,
What?
the announce that it's being recorded.
This is being recorded, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. Thanks, Vicky. I appreciate you dropping by,
You're very welcome.
and good
Have
luck.
have a good meeting.
I hope so. So next on the agenda is the Highway Association, Washington County Highway Association, Highway Superintendent's Association is asked to come and put on a little presentation for us. I think if I'm right, Mike Graham, you were designated as the speaker.
I was the chosen one, yes.
So I want to thank you for all attending, and I want to thank you for everything. I mean, I have great respect for all your highway superintendents. I've noticed your association is involved in a lot of things, but more importantly, when towns need help, they've jumped out to help them. We have representatives from a number of different towns. I see Lloyd from Whitehall, Mike from Kingsbury, Brian from Fort Edward. Jim, where are you from?
Cambridge.
Cambridge, thank you. And VR?
From White Creek.
White Creek, okay, thank you.
Yes.
So, thank you for coming. I appreciate your interest. I do want to say that this has been a situation where we have for many years had some good highway superintendents. We have been sort of feeling out the way to make changes so we can improve our roads. I also would like to mention that Hampton is the lowest assessed town in the entire town of entire Washington County. If you look at our assessment values are at, and I'll show you it, we're at 68,000. Our closest one is 68 million. Our closest next one is 140 million. So we start out at a disadvantage in terms of tax base. We aren't quite as fortunate as some of the other larger towns. Kingsbury's the luckiest with their assessed value, but it's important, and we're trying to make changes because we need to make investments in our road. And as you've seen, the capital is very tough to come by. All our highway superintendents have done a great job. They've been crippled a little bit, but we need to make changes so we can put more money into the roads and do that. And this is one of the options we're looking at because the pool of candidates in the town is limited, and we need people with experience and skills to do the job. So again, I do appreciate that. I do hope that you do understand this is absolutely nothing against the Highway Association. I respect all you guys in doing things. It's just our financial situation is different, that we have been looking for ways to improve delivery and make sure that we can make our roads better. And we'd like to make sure that we put more money into our roads and get going. So Mike, I've said that, I told Louis you got 10 minutes. So he designated you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I won't be that long, so don't worry.
all right, time's up. Go ahead, Louis.
So thank you, Supervisor O'Brien and Town Council, for letting me speak tonight. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Michael Graham. I'm the Town of Kingsbury Superintendent. I'm the Vice President of our Washington County Highway Association, and I'm also an Executive Committee member for the New York State Associations of Town Highway Superintendents. So obviously, we're here tonight to support keeping the keeping an elected position for the town. And I just have a few bullet points I'd like to go over quick. An elected superintendent works directly for the town, which essentially the town is their boss. For most superintendents, that means every 24 or 48 months. In this case, I believe a 4-year term.
Right.
You have to be elected by the residents to serve in office. If majority of the voters don't believe they're doing a good job, then they will not be reelected. An appointed highway superintendent works for the town supervisor and the town board, not directly for the residents. An appointed highway superintendent means residents have no say, direct say, on who holds what, in most people's opinion, is the most important full-time job in the town. Also, according to the state comptroller, the largest single expense for the towns is the highway superintendent. And they do administer most of the tax dollars. The highway superintendent under the current New York state law requires that the town highway superintendent be a resident of the town. That way they are more physically accessible in an emergency. And it's also a better trust with the community and their constituents in case a problem does arise. Also, elected superintendents do not, by law, cannot make overtime. So therefore, snowstorms, a tree branch falls at 4 o'clock in the morning, they go out, they don't get their overtime, and where an appointed position could, depending on how you guys set it up. So that's pretty much the gist of what we just wanted to say, just kind of throw out some facts, just for an elected position. And so again, I do appreciate everyone's time, and if anyone has any questions for me, I'd be glad to answer anything.
So Mike, I appreciate your bullet points. It's not looking at it. I think that, as Louis and I had a few conversations, is that we're limited because we only have 2 full-time employees and an elected position. And if you look at your town, I think you've got 8 or 9 men. Louis got.
I've got 7 full-time, or 8 full-time and 2 part-time.
Okay, so that Louis got 3 plus himself. I don't know what Cambridge does, or Brian, I think you're 6 or 7, if I remember correctly. But it doesn't matter. But
8 plus myself.
8 plus yourself. The point is that you have a large staff of people with experience to move forward and help you out. So they're trained over the years. And if I look at a lot of the highway superintendents, where they've come from is they work for the town, and they sort of moved up as Mike retires someday, someone moves up and gets elected, so they bring their experience with you.
All right.
Our concern is that we don't have that training ground, we don't have that resource and pool. So that's one of our biggest concerns. And I'll say it another way, if in your circumstance, Mike, with 8 or 9 plus 2 part-timers, is that if you have a new person come in that's not skilled or not experienced, you have a great depth of people to help them, coach them along. And I know that every one of you would help anyone coming in there, but this is our situation. And, you know, if I look at for every, I think it's $2,500 that we raise our levy, that's a 1% tax increase. So while we've been trying to raise what we invest in the town, you know, it's not unlimited to look at. So we're looking for dedicated workers, and I'm not saying any highway superintendent that's worked for Hampton wasn't. There might be a couple things about people way in the past, but most people have been very dedicated, but they're part-time and they're structured. So, you know, that's our reason for looking at this. And it's not something we came through as, gee, let's do this. It's something that we're trying to study to move the town forward. So I hope you appreciate that I respect your positions, and I really do, because I think you all do a great job. But we're trying to fix something where we don't have, don't have the ability to raise the tax rates too far, especially when we have no industry, we have no base, we have a lot of agriculture here. So I just want you to understand that this isn't something that has anything to do with the Highway Association. It has nothing to do with how you run your towns. It's just we're a little unique, and we're trying to solve a problem that we can reach for resources outside or inside. I've had some people in Hampton say, well, gee, appointed job, I'd take that. We're qualified. So, but that's our restriction. I don't want to belabor the point because I respect your position. I hope you respect the difficult times that we're going through also.
Yes, we understand. Yeah.
That's why we let the voters decide.
Yep. Okay. Well, thank you again, and I appreciate you giving me the time to speak. So.
I appreciate it.
All right.
And I love your garage. Can you move that to Hampton, will you?
Yeah. Just cough up about $2 million and you can have it. So.
Well, that's out of your slush fund, isn't it?
Yeah, I wish. Yeah.
You know, Matt Jones is down there quite a bit. And every time he comes back and says, gee, what a wonderful place.
Yep. We were very fortunate that we saved for a long time before we built this building. And it was nice. Like you said, we're fortunate we can do that. So with our tax base. Yep.
And I think you're fortunate you had you, and Brian's garage is also very nice also.
Yes,
Brian,
it is.
I just want to give it to me. You give me yours.
Thank you for that, David.
We toured both ones because we've got a couple of facilities in Washington County that need to be replaced in highway barns. We're trying to combine with a couple of towns to save some money. We'll see. So thank you all, gentlemen. If you got any questions, you can feel free to call me. We'll go from there. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. You as well.
Okay, next order of business. Minutes of the meeting. I will accept a resolution to accept the meetings as mailed.
I'll make a resolution to accept the minutes.
Motion by Tammy, seconded by Mike Patrica. Any comments, additions, corrections? All in favor?
Do we do a roll call or no?
Uh,
You're straight. Andrea's not.
Yeah, we can do a roll call.
Yes? Yes, you can.
Yes.
Supervisor O'Brien?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sweeney?
Yes.
Councilman Seedy?
Yes.
Councilwoman Tarrant?
Yes.
Councilman Patrica?
Yes.
Permits and subdivisions. There are none. Planning, dog control officer has nothing
To report?
to report, sorry. Tax collector, how much money you got from me?
Not much. A lot of people paid in January. You're not gonna have as much this year.
Darn.
I have about 107, I think, left to pay,
Okay,
but they won't.
good. Have you ever done the end of the month, right? They take it over to the county? Everything goes to county at the end of the month, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Bonnie, it's up to you.
She's still there.
You to unmute yourself, Bonnie.
I just did. It's got too many places and I never know which one I'm supposed to click on. The regular monthly meeting of the planning board was held on Wednesday, March 10th via Zoom. We did not have any regular business as we still are waiting, which we'll be waiting quite a while on the ag plan grant, because that might not even come out until June or July rather than April 1st. Love to see it on April 1st, but I'm not sure that's going to happen. So I'm adding here some information from a previous meeting where we had a discussion about our site plan law and whether it should have been applied to the businesses that the Amish have started in Hampton. We had questions of just about, we didn't really truly understand how things are done as it pertains to the Amish. Farming has always been exempted, but we did not know whether building sheds for resale and a sawmill for selling lumber came under that exemption. The original logging yard on Golf Course Road and the shale extraction off Golf Course Road and County Route 11 both have site plan permits. In order to answer the questions, I have talked with the Washington County Code Officer for Hampton, Danielle Drinkwater Holman. She said the county is looking into how to resolve this type of problem as the Amish build houses and barns and they don't get building permits. I also contacted the New York State Sales Tax Department. I talked with a Kaz, her ID number was 64674. She said that any business that sells any kind of products must register with the state. They make an exception for the Amish that they can fill out paper forms rather than e-file. If they're selling sheds, lumber, or any other products, they must register, fill out an application, and collect the 7% sales tax. That's the 4% state and 3% county. So now I don't know the status of the people on Golf Course Road. I am going to look into that and see what happens. So Matt, this was the answer to the questions you people had at our meeting. And that's all I have. Our next meeting is the second Wednesday of next month, whatever that is. I don't know the date.
14.
14. So I appreciate that. Code enforcement has always struggled to work with the Amish. The Amish sometimes have tried to comply, other times haven't complied. I know that Whitehall has the same challenge. I know that Argyle's having the same challenge. I know that Cambridge, I think, is also having the same challenge. So, but
that's why when I talked to Danielle, she said yesterday they had a huge discussion somewhere within wherever in the county, and they are going to try to come up with something that's definitive of what we're required to do.
what we're required to do is code enforcement is required to do. We have no responsibility.
No, but what code enforcement is required to do, and then once I know that they have to go along with code enforcement, it makes it easier for us to then say, okay, you're opening a commercial business on County Route 11, on Golf Course Road. Therefore, you must come to the planning board for a site plan review permit. But it's hard to get a site plan review permit if they're not getting anything from the county as far as code. We can't require it if they're not going to do it. So.
Well, it's not required. There's a two-way street here. Code enforcement expects them to follow the same rules, same processes we do. They do the mail, they want to call them. Well, they don't have those vehicles. And I think that we've tried to understand that code enforcement has to adapt to the way they do things. It's more,
right.
More talking in person. I think that if you really find out some of these things are also going to be sheltered because they're considered a religious group. So I'm not an expert in it. I just know with code enforcement, the fights they've had, and Louis can say the same thing, that they've tried and tried and tried. Vern Scribner's bent over backwards to help them out and work with them, but they still resist that. But the problem is they have their time schedule and they're going to do it in the time schedule. So we'll see.
Well, and the only
resolve it.
The only question that came out of this, and it came out of obviously one of our planning board members, the logging yard originally had to have a site plan permit. Mm-hmm. And they're dealing in logs that are lumber, that are, you know, a forest product that is agriculture. And then when Steve wanted to do the thing with the shale that's on that hill that Mrs. Coleman still owns off Golf Course Road, he got his also. But he's saying, why should we have to go through this if they don't have to? That's all. You know, I don't know how they're going to resolve this, but anyway, that's been our discussion. We haven't gone any further.
That's something that every Amish community, every town that has an Amish community in it still struggles with.
Well, and the thing is this one's now changing hands to the brother, who's now obviously, I don't know what he's going to do. We don't know what he's going to do there.
Okay.
Anyway.
Thanks, Bonnie. Anything else, questions for Bonnie?
I would like to say thanks, Bonnie, for answering those questions that we were asking at our last board.
You're quite.
So, let me see.
Highway.
Roads, Herb.
So the men have been keeping up with the maintenance of the highway building, the trucks and everything. We went around with the loader and pushed back intersections and cul-de-sacs. We had a few snow clippers that came through that we took care of. I talked to Zwax today on where we are with the box for the tandem. He said it'll be the middle of May before we can get it, but he's going to talk to the company supplying the steel and try to get it faster. With the upcoming of spring, it's time to see what we're going to do with the cemeteries, if we're going to contract them out, which we're trying to do. I think it would save the guys some time. Tyler, let's see, Tyler went out and graded some high spots down with the grader. Tyler and I met with Laura Sanda, a project engineer that's working to get grants for the local culverts and bridges. We showed her a culvert on Stasel Road and one on Manchester Road. She's putting the paperwork in to see if he qualified for the grants for them. I talked with the county about helping out with the culvert and raising the road on South Road. They're sending out engineers to look at it and to write it up, and they're going to help us with doing the work. With all the wind that we've been having, we only got one call for a tree in the road, and that was on Roberts Lane. We got it cleaned up. We ran an ad for the town highway position. I interviewed a gentleman today, and he was going to get back with me with a decision, and he got back with me, and we hired him. His name is Jim Brown.
Jim Brown.
That's-
Three people.
Go ahead, Herb.
That's it.
Any questions for Herb?
I got a question on the bills. The 2012 Dodge.
Yep.
There's 3 different invoices for brake work on it.
There's ones for the front when the rotor broke and left us stranded down in Low Hampton with it. That's the $2,600 one that Pete charges for. And he was supposed to do the back brakes, but he didn't. So it went to Justin, and Justin did the rear brakes and everything for us so we could stop with it. And what was the third one?
Just the calipers and the brake pads from the auto parts store.
Yep. Justin didn't buy them. He charged them to our account to save us from having to pay extra.
Gotcha.
So, and all he did was charge us for the labor.
And the only other question I have is the PTO shaft for the sweeper.
Yep. We had to buy another one because George destroyed the sweeper again.
George destroyed, we already replaced that once.
Yep. Yep. And he broke it again.
How did George break it again?
Was we sent him down to Low Hampton to sweep the roads.
No, that was fixed before.
Yep. And we sent him down to Low Hampton last spring to sweep the roads, and
Last spring.
came back, and we got one in 2020, and we had that one on, and that one, she shattered that one too. And we had to buy another one.
Not following, but okay.
Maybe he shouldn't be doing the sweeper.
Nope.
He doesn't work for us anymore.
So this
What
is
did- what-
a
what did
while
you leave?
ago?
He's at 2020. Last year.
So they haven't fixed it since last year?
No, we didn't, because we were done with it. We just fixed it and got it ready this spring for this, for sweeping this spring.
Okay. Okay,
Herb,
Yep,
what are you gonna do about Manchester Road? There are a ton of spots where the road is just falling apart.
yep. We're going to hopefully get it shimmed up. We gotta wait for the cold and frost and everything to get out of the ground. And we wanna do some shimming over there.
Okay, what about the culvert in front of where Jeff Grenier lives?
The culvert in front of Jeff's. Which one's that one?
When you're just after his driveway, you're gonna drive across it and there's a nice little dip where
Oh,
it
okay.
is.
Yeah, we'll fill that in. So when the frost comes out, it may pick it back up.
Well,
I don't
it's already down.
Yep, I don't want to put blacktop in it, and then when the frost comes back up, then I got a speed bump.
Okay.
So when the
Thanks.
frost comes out of the ground, then we'll evaluate it and take care of it.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
anything else for her? Okay, moving forward. Supervisor report, we're looking at that. We all heard we're getting the stimulus funds of $100,000. The challenge is, I was hoping when I first heard it, it's going to be unrestricted, and I know a lot of other highway superintendents in towns were very happy that they could do some more paving on the roads, or fix this, or fix that, or do some capital expenses, buy a truck. Unfortunately, those things are not what this money can be used for. What it can be used for is anything COVID related. So, for example, last year we weren't paid all our CHIPS money, and we paid money out of our own pocket to do do some paving and to replace that. Well, it's potential we can get that as part of this $100,000 we're getting. Any expenses that we've done, I mean, not minor, I mean, I probably got it, but about $2,000 we could probably claim. For example, there's Zoom meetings Becky has to go to, and it doesn't work on her desktop, so we bought her a laptop. That was one. Monitors or anything did for this, any cleaning equipment, any cleaning supplies, these beautiful plastic things reimburse. But the other things we use them for is water, sewer, and broadband. So I don't think $100,000 is going to go very far, and even do an engineering study for sewer or water in town Hampton. But there is potential we could tap it for broadband. There's also potential that we may look at assisting some people that were penalized or by COVID. So that's an option we can take a look at. So we've got 24 months to do that, and we'll look at it. So we're not going to jump up and down and spend it right away. We are going to take a study to find out what else can do there. We're asking for clarifications from Senator Schumer. We're asking for clarifications from other places. So yes, sir.
Dave, if it's for water, what about getting some sort of a water thing for the guys over in the garage? I mean, they can't drink the town water. It almost killed the cat. So, is there a way we can get a water jug or something?
That cat survived 20 below zero weather when it was a kitten, for God's sake. And you're worried about water?
Well, I mean, the guys need something good to drink.
Okay, we'll look at it.
All right.
So we'll do a careful study on what it is, and if worst, we got one stretch of road, broadband's hurting on, so maybe something to use that for. But again, it'd be a challenge. We don't use it, we'll lose it. So we'll go from there. Any questions on the supervisor report?
I'll make a resolution to accept the supervisor's report as presented.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Sadie, second by Tammy.
Supervisor O'Brien,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sweeney,
Yes.
Councilman Sadie,
Yes.
Councilwoman Tarrant,
Yes.
Councilman Patrica,
Yes.
Okay, carried. For the special election to be held April 10th, we have two election inspectors here. The hours will be from 12 to 7. In terms of pay, I would suggest they're going to be here 7 hours. I was thinking,
I would think a little bit more, Dave. They gotta, it stops at 7, they gotta count the ballots.
so, okay, so 8 hours probably together. If we ask for a recount, it might be another 20 minutes. So I would say that we would look at $15 an hour. That's $120 a piece for those. Is that agreeable with people?
What do we generally pay?
We never pay them. It's paid by the county. And the county is adjusting theirs because we have some minimum wage issues.
So what's the going rate for a,
What's the county usually paying?
that's what I mean.
1184, but they got to go up because minimum wage changed.
I pay them what the minimum wage is. If the going rate is 11.84, why would we pay 15?
Just mention the figure. You can.
Well, that's what I'm asking. I've never
I don't-
paid an
I don't know.
Yeah, so I didn't know if you said it was $25 an hour, I would have said, okay, and I don't know, I just don't, I've never considered what the official should get. It seems to be, it should be like a standard rate, right?
Yeah.
No, well, the county does, but every county has different wages.
We're talking about Washington County.
How about we do $12.50 instead of trying to
Okay.
figure everything out? If we do $12.50, that gives me $200. It's a little more
I
than that.
I would go with 13.
So you're 13 and a half, 13 and 3/4.
Is this going to be a bidding war?
Who won?
Okay, I make a motion to pay $13 an hour.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mike, second by Andrea, $13 an hour. You're sure that's not an unlucky number? You should make it. I'm just kidding. All in
Turns
favor?
out to one
Becky.
before it's an even number, we're good.
You didn't hear Tom over, he was asking if he was like an auctioneer, he was asking for 13 and a half.
are we
I'm gonna get my bus Mars out.
Supervisor O'Brien,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sweeney,
Yes.
Councilman Sadie,
Yes.
Councilwoman Tarrant,
Yes.
Councilman Patrica.
Yes,
So are you paying them for 7 hours or 8 hours, Dave?
We have to pay for whatever hours are here.
8 is the plan.
Yeah, time for it.
7 to 8, depending on what they're here.
Now you gotta find somebody to do
I already got them.
Got it.
it. We could pay them less then.
Yeah. Okay, we got
We
that.
know who the two people are,
Yes,
and those are,
secret. No. I asked the ones that previously have been our election inspectors. So it's either gonna be Lenny or Elaine for the Republican and Mr. Scott Lenahan for the Democrat.
Okay.
Do you hear me?
thank you.
Shook his head, so I guess so.
Well, I.
We have nothing,
I'm looking
so
at a blank screen.
at least you know they're not looking at you then.
That's true, that's true. Well, I don't know, the camera.
So next order of business is, I sent you an introductory local law. What essentially this introductory local law does, it allows the highway superintendent to reside outside of the town of Hampton. This is a fairly standard thing happening. It started happening back in 1987, where they allow the elected or appointed highway superintendent, and that's the only office in the town that's allowed to do that. A number of towns have faced the same issues we have. I think Easton did it a couple of years ago. I know that Greenwich is looking at the same thing. So what it essentially says is that they can live in an adjoining town to the border of Hampton, which allows us to reach out to open it up to other people, whether it end up being appointed or elected in terms of that. So that's pretty much it. I sent you all the reference laws on it. They're online too. All the reference laws, we're doing it. I got reference laws from the Association of Town Attorneys. I got the references from our own attorney. I also got the reference information from, was forwarded to me from the town of Greenwich. So that's the stuff that we're looking at. We would have to go and set a public hearing in this, set the public hearing. And then the town board would vote on the local law after the town hearing. There is no public referendum for this local law, so I would ask the town board to discuss this. Mike?
Just one question, and this might have been in the information you sent. It's gotta be in New York.
Gotta be in New York.
Right, could be, because they're within 5, but I figured it had to be, because one place it said the county.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be Whitehall, Granville.
Whitehall, Granville.
I guess that's pretty much it.
That's about it, but it has to be written in New York State.
Okay, it's gotta be, okay, that's fine, but it does open up the aperture. a
And
bit more, of course.
we did change it from 5 miles to adjacent towns.
Jason said, okay, I think that makes sense.
So, you
So
know,
that was my own question, because we border Hampton, our Fulton and Fairhaven, so, so many people coming across back and forth.
okay. Any other questions or comments? So with that in mind, I'll request someone to introduce the resolution.
I'll introduce the resolution. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You go to public hearing and a bunch of people say no, and then we just don't do it. But if we don't do anything, we're
not doing it.
not doing anything. Gotta keep moving forward.
And I'll second it, because I think it's a good, the idea is to get the most qualified candidate that you can, most qualified person.
And, you know, I think that even when Louis and Brian started, surfacing roads and treatments on roads and engineering and everything you do has changed dramatically. And, you know, the more experience you've got, the better off we're gonna be to move that and look at it. So thank you for Louis to telling me about this.
Well, the good thing is, Dave, I'm 4.89 miles from the town of Hampton, so I can put my name in.
There you go.
I got 27 years, so that should do all right.
Okay, Louis.
You got a
Thanks.
resolution up for it, well,
Pardon?
you got a resolution to vote on.
Right.
You have one.
Yeah, we
We
gotta,
have to vote, we just did.
Oh, yes, I know that.
Are you keeping the, because on the second page, Dave, it's the date and the time. So if
So
someone.
the public hearing, do we want to have the public hearing at 7 o'clock or 7:15?
I'd say 7 o'clock. There might be some discussion on this one. So for me personally, I think it'd be 7 o'clock on the 15th.
That's how it's written, isn't it?
That's what's, yeah, I just want to make sure before you, I mean, you can change it, but.
No, I think
I think it's, you know, this one's important enough to where we need to make sure that everybody has a chance to speak.
Yep.
Okay,
Because you're right, might have some opposition to that.
All good?
Yep.
Okay. Supervisor O'Brien?
yes.
Councilwoman Sweeney?
Yes,
Councilman Sadie?
Yes.
Councilwoman Terrence?
Yes.
Councilman Pacheca?
Yes.
So we kind of sorted all three things in one resolution, correct?
Mhm.
Yeah, so you don't have to do a separate.
Okay.
So there was, can you explain what we have to do with the local law numbers, Becky?
Okay, this one here is gonna actually be called local law 1. Because the first one that we're talking about, you can't give it a number because there's a mandatory referendum that we're having. So we have to give, Attorney Fuller said to give that a letter, so we should call that local law A. Because typically when we have a local law, we have the public hearing and then I immediately send it to the Secretary of State.
Yep.
So if we pass this one and we send it to the Secretary and we're calling it 2, they're gonna kick it back, Matt said, because they don't have a 1.
Right.
So I need you guys to make a resolution to change because some things have said local law 1 already that are in my minutes, so we need a resolution stating that local law 1 should be referred to as local law A.
I will make a resolution to change the heading of the current local law number 1 to local law A.
There a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Tammy. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Oops,
Becky?
sorry. Supervisor O'Brien,
Yes?
Councilwoman Sweeney,
Yes,
Councilman Sadie,
Yes.
Councilwoman Taryn,
Yes.
Councilman Patrica,
Yes.
Okay, that's carried. Any council comments, public comments? Matt?
I would just like to know, because Herb said earlier that they're thinking about contracting out the cemeteries. You only have 3. Why are we gonna contract those out?
We have 4.
We got Burdick, Hooker, and Warren.
Miller.
We don't do Miller anymore.
Well, Travis does it, but he doesn't have to do it, you know, so it's.
I thought we gave Miller over to the Miller Association.
No, we have not.
Are you sure? Because I thought you guys did a resolution to do that.
I'm 100% positive, Matt. We've never given that to Miller family farm. There may be discussions in the future, but we never did that. He volunteered to mow it themselves, but if they can't mow, we still have to take possession of it. And Travis, do you remember us giving you that cemetery?
Sorry, I was clicking on the wrong place. So no, I've not heard anything about that. But yeah.
I will say he did ask what the process would be, and I'm asking the attorneys what the process would be. The problem is that as far as we can tell, no one owns that cemetery. It was just a deed. There's no deed to it. It's just a plot of land with a number on it. It says Miller Cemetery, and we're trying to chase it down. So we've asked the attorney how we would transfer it if we wanted to. So, okay, any other comments? But no,
what about broadband down in this end of town?
last I heard, there's still gonna be this by June. That's the best I can tell you. Slick is still underway. I know they're stringing wire up in Dresden, Putnam, and coming down through. I don't know if they hit Whitehall yet. Have they hit Whitehall yet, Louis?
No, not yet. They don't have much to do in Whitehall, Dave, but they are using my garage facility for all the equipment because they're heading your way. For the next 6 months, they'll be heading your way, they told me. So they're heading your way.
Yeah, I know. They're coming down.
They're still in
21 to 4.
Mm-hmm.
But they are building out down in some of the bigger sectors. I think they're still waiting for a couple of approvals in here.
Probably are, yes. Yep.
Okay, thanks, Louis.
Yep.
Great. Anything else? I will see what the numbers are about subbing the cemeteries out. We'll see if we can afford it. We have some expenses this year, so we'll take a look at it. By the way, that comes out of general fund. It does not come out of the highway fund.
Gotta find out some way to make it a COVID expense.
We're protecting our employees from getting too overtired from COVID.
I can think it out, but that's what I'm thinking.
They don't want to spread it on people in the cemetery.
Yep.
That may be
All right. Let's audit and pay bills.
Make a resolution to pay the bills for this month.
Motion by Don, second by Tammy. Any questions? Roll call.
Supervisor O'Brien,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sweeney,
Yes,
Councilman Stevie,
Yes.
Councilwoman Taryn,
Yes.
Councilman Patrica,
Yes.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
I'll make a resolution that we adjourn.
Motion by Tammy, do I have a second? Second.
Cameron.
Second by,
Yeah, Mike.
all in favor? Roll call.
You got it.
Supervisor O'Brien,
Thanks.
Sweeney,
Yes.
Councilman Sadie,
Yes.
Councilwoman Terry,
Yes.
Councilman Patrica.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, we're adjourned.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Louis, thanks, Brian. Thanks. Is Floyd
Thanks,
really?
Dave, I'm leaving.
A little bit longer, but.
See you, Jim. Okay.
I never did get this long, I gotta ask for your.
You still want football or no?
I know what